can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Okay, well, my name is Dhita Caturani. I'm from Indonesia, based in Jakarta. I'm an activist, a feminist activist for as long as I can remember. Professionally, I work as a digital security trainer and consultant. But that also, I bring that profession or my skills, of course, to Purple Code Collective.
Purple Code? What is what is
Yeah.
what is Purple Code? What do you do?
Um, well, our what we want to do is actually to talk about the intersectional issues of gender, human rights, and technology, because we think it's very important to talk about technology because it's our life now, right? We live 24/7 on the internet. We are also faced with all of those, inequalities, all of this violence, also online, all of these obstacles and difficulties and etc. online. So I think if we use technology as the continuum of our struggle, of our life, then we also have to fight for it too, because people are still thinking that technology is just a tool, but we want people to understand that it's not just a tool. This is a space for us to live. Online violence against women are not seen as something that is tangible. The impact is not tangible. So people really don't care about it, right? So that's why I started to talk about it. I did training, I did workshop just by myself. And finally, some of those friends who joined the workshop said, hey, I want to work with you on these issues. So we started that Purple Code Collective in 2015.
And can you tell me about how the story of how Purple Code got started?
It started with, honestly, it started with me personally in 2010. I was so inspired by, we use technology since a long time ago. I used technology since it came, the internet since it came in Indonesia in 1995. But then I never really thought how powerful technology is until the Arab Spring movement in 2010, right? Back then, I still think it was a tool. It's a tool for us to organize ourselves, to organize people. We organize protests, we organize whatever, through social media. And there also has been, a backlash against us, right? I started receiving threats, not just me, but also my friend who organized, protests or events on online and offline. We started receiving all of these threats, rape threats, death threats, and etc. So I started to thinking about this, the security of it, what is actually behind. That is where I started to learn about, digital security. Actually, I wasn't came from a technology background, of course, people who are more skillful, people who have the knowledge. So that was how I started to take up the issues of technology, where people attack me on, on the basis of me being a woman, like my agency as a woman, my body as a woman, my sexuality as a woman. But I couldn't really articulate that violence that I experienced until I got a really great opportunity to join, a global conference. It's a gender and technology conference. And I came there, and then in that conference, we started to talk about, we also talked online gender-based violence. Back then, the name wasn't online gender-based violence, but online violence against women, and the name is also actually changing all the time. That, and then in 2014, I got also invited by APC in this event called Imagining Feminist Internet. So that was, those two conferences were, for me, is a revelation that is this violence. Now I can actually articulate my experience with violence online.
What are you trying to achieve with Purple Code?
But we don't want to focus on online gender-based violence. I had to admit that that was the entry point for me to get people started talking about gender and technology. But we don't want to focus on the violence. Actually, we need to see what is the root cause, and what would be the solution to that, right? So we want to hit the bullseye. We want to talk about the infrastructure, about the politic of the technology, but it is also the structure of the society that created this bias, misogynistic, and sexist technology. Yes, we will deal with the violence, but we want to deal with the root cause as well.
Can you tell me about how you got started in activism?
I started activism way back when I was in college. I'm not young anymore. I'm 46 now. So in college, it was in the 90s, and it was so like a lot of other students back then. We were like fighting against this dictator. We want to bring this dictator down. So that was my first involvement in the movement back in the 90s.
Thinking back to that time, is there a particular moment or a particular story that you can remember where you were like, yes, this is the kind of work I want to be doing forever?
It was a long process. I started to question the unjust world or society since I was very young. I kept asking my mom, there are kids selling newspaper on the street, right? Why don't they go to school? And the only answer that my mom gave me, it was like really, she didn't satisfy me, because she said, because they're poor. That's it. And then it said, when you grow up, you will understand. I started to be bothered with like a very small injustices that happen around me. I would stand up against my teacher if I thought that they was being unjust to me or to my friends. So I got my parents got summoned by the teachers and also by the principals quite a lot of time. I know that I want to be an activist, but I didn't think that was gonna be a work. That wasn't a work for me, So when I graduated, even when my first job wasn't as an NGO worker, I didn't work in an NGO. I was still an activist, but I was working as a teacher, because I didn't know. I wasn't thinking that it was a work.
Wow.